Well, Senator, thank you so much for joining us. It's good talking to you again.
I'm glad to be with you anytime.
I noticed, over the past couple of days, we've seen some new developments in Operation Fast and Furious, including Lanny Brewer, the head of the criminal division, now admitting that he knew about gun walking and simply didn't say anything to anybody about it for more than a year.
You know, his testimony and interviews yesterday remind me of what I tell a lot of people that stonewall us on oversight, that the longer you hold off, the less cooperation you give, when the facts actually come out, you're going to have egg on your face. And this is a perfect example of people in the Justice Department that have been stonewalling us for 10 months having egg on their face.
Right, and Senator, he comes out today and he admits that he learned about the gun walking strategy from wide receiver in April 2010. Does that in any way add up to the timeline of letters that you got from DoJ to the memos, anything at all?
Yeah, the answer is yes. And what's really surprising about this is the fact that he, at that particular time, was raising questions about wide receiver at the very same time that many of the same officials were getting briefings on Operation Fast and Furious. And then you have to ask why they didn't ask the same important policy questions about the Fast and Furious as and how it was being run, because they were all operating out of the same field division. So the left hand should have known what the right hand was doing, and it's just you can't understand why they wouldn't, if they're interested in wide receiver, why they wouldn't have been interested in Fast and Furious.
And, right. In fact, Lanny Brewer's explanation that he gave was that he was told by the folks in Phoenix that there wasn't any similarities, and so he just let the matter drop.
Yeah, but that could have been true, but that's kind of not doing your job.
Right, and when he comes out and he says he didn't draw the connection right away between wide receiver and Fast and Furious, and that's why he didn't go and he didn't tell the Attorney General. Is this Lanny Brewer, as some people are saying, being the fall guy for the AG?
Well, I don't know. What I'm interested in doing is finding out who the highest person in the Justice Department is that approves this, and get them fired, and getting the family of Terry the information that they're entitled to, and making sure a stupid program like Fast and Furious doesn't happen again.
So anything you heard today, did that help you lead you in that direction to finding those answers?
Yeah, it leads you now. Well, it raises more questions, but as a result of Lanny Brewer's testimony, we have this issue of issuing wiretaps, and we need to find out who actually approved these wiretap applications and ask those people some serious questions, since Lanny Brewer said that, when 22 people in the department are involved in making these decisions, and they're relying basically on people that are in law enforcement at the grassroots, he couldn't be expected to know about the details. So we asking questions along that line, and so now we're going to follow up with who did ask the questions and get more information from them.
Senator, your colleague, Senator Feinstein, today wanted to make Fast and Furious about the need for more gun control laws. I know she questioned Lanny Brewer about whether or not a national gun registration system would be helpful, and I guess the Assistant Attorney General said that it would. What are your thoughts on your colleagues that aren't as interested in getting to the bottom of Fast and Furious as much as they are trying to push for new gun control laws?
Well, it plays into the suspicion that a lot of your listeners and readers think that Fast and Furious is all about is an excuse by this administration to curb Second Amendment rights. I don't buy into that conspiracy yet, but when they ask questions like that, I think it gives a great deal of credibility to people that are raising that question with me, and if my investigation leads me there, I'm not going to be afraid to say that. But there is something about the facts that he gave out that that the Mexican government confiscated 90-some thousand guns, and some 60,000 of them came from the United States. And I put in the record a study that I released months ago, more than a year ago, raising this question. And the question is this, that just because these guns were made in America, it doesn't mean that they were illegally sold in America and went across the border, or were legally sold in America and went across the border. It means that they were manufactured in the United States. They could have been sold outside the United States and found their way into Mexico instead of going across the Rio Grande.
Right, but you know, we heard this earlier about the 90%. Now they're saying it's 70%. We proved the 90% was wrong. And you had Brewer sitting there talking about how, you know, ATF needs these gun reporting schemes because they need to trace and track guns. Well, if that's what they need to do, then something went really wrong with Fast and Furious, because when the gun dealers would call up and say, hey, we got some suspicious sales there, they said, hey, let them walk.
Yeah, well, and they didn't trace the guns. And
Right.
I don't know whether they're getting into this wide receiver thing to give some credibility to Operation Fast and Furious, because it was a wide receiver was operated under the previous administration. But there was a lot less guns. We think about 300, and they were followed across the border. And there was a great deal of cooperation with the Mexican authorities on the other side of the border. And there wasn't any such cooperation in the case of Fast and Furious. In fact, you know that there were ATF people stationed in the Mexico City embassy that didn't even know about Fast and Furious, and they were embarrassed when it was announced. And obviously the reporting of guns did not stop the guns from going across the border.
No, and you know, you look at this, and I've got to ask you, because I know the Attorney General is coming back before your committee, in December?
So that's the House in December. He's
That's
going
the
to be
House,
before
okay.
my committee next week.
Next week, okay. So,
Not just on Fast and Furious, on any oversight issue.
okay, but testimony that you heard today, does that help you come up with any specific questions you really want to zero in with, Holder, on?
Of course it does, and probably some that I haven't even thought of. But I'm going to ask, I'm basically going to ask the Attorney General the extent to which he knew about this a long time before, a few weeks before May the 3rd, like he last reported.
Senator, I mean, it really seems like when you listen to what the administration is saying, the best case scenario is that there was gross incompetence involved on the part of senior level staffers at DoJ. I mean, again, when you have Lanny Brewer, know about these gun walking tactics and not say anything for well over a year, as you say, I mean, that doesn't speak well to his job performance. Is that what the administration's hanging their hat on right now, that they just screwed up and messed up again and again?
Basically, at least that's what Lanny Brewer is willing to take the fall for.
Absolutely. Well, Senator, again, we appreciate your time and look forward to having you on again very soon.
Goodbye. Thank you.